Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining me. I am Yvonne McBride. This is Yvonne McBride Lit Life. And in this space, we celebrate, we motivate, we encourage women of the diaspora to live for their dreams, whether that is traveling, whether that is starting a writing career, whether that is making any type of transition to elevate yourself to the life you want to lead. This is the space for you. So, if any of that sounds like your jam, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for doing that. Today, as we're talking about transitions and living our best life, I do videos to put us in the mindset of taking care of ourselves, right? Taking care of our mental, our spiritual, our physical bodies as we transition and as we make room for the life we want to live. So, along those lines, I have a series called Sisters of the Woo Woo. And in this series, I'm introducing you to badass women, badass healers, manifestors, people who can put you on the path to holistic healing. And with that, I want to bring up my guest today. This is my sister friend. When I say nobody is messing with my clique, nobody is my click, click, click. This is one of those sisters. I'm gonna let her introduce herself, but I'm gonna add on because I know she's gonna be humble, try to be humble. But Sundari, please introduce yourself to the people.
Okay, well, thank you for having me on for starters. I am Sundari Moneek, or Anukite Sundari Moneek, and
That's the name I was struggling with. Yes.
well, that's a new name. That's my newly initiated name is Anukite. However, I am the owner of Sanctuary of Self in the West End of Atlanta. I am what some would call a medicine woman. I am someone who enjoys spirituality and understanding and learning and growing and delving in deep in regards to the resume. Well, we can talk about that later. But today, I believe we're talking about the sacred sweat lodge, the Anipe, if I am correct. So we can talk about what I do later. I think getting into the ceremony is more important.
Okay, and like I said, I knew she was gonna be humble. In our sister circle, this is the holistic wellness person. This is the metaphysical and spiritual healer. She is our guide and our guru. She is a yoga instructor. She reads. She does medicine card readings, um, stings, the JJ stings. She can do anything. She does all of their herbalists. So we will talk about that later. But when I talk about the talents, bringing your talents and living a life that allows you to work your talents and provide them for the community, this is that girl. This is that chick.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So yes, we're going to dive right in. She has an upcoming summer solstice steam lodge, sweat lodge. Summer solstice sweat lodge is coming up. It was this Saturday, but we're postponing it to celebrate maybe along the lines of the full moon.
Correct.
Okay. So we're going to talk about sweats, all about sweats, how they benefit you, how they improve your mental, spiritual, and physical health. We want to start by Moneek, tell us how you began your journey into holistic healing. Just a little bit.
Okay. I would say for all of us, it's a lifelong journey. But when I became intentional about my growth was probably about 30 years ago, right before my oldest daughter was born.
Okay.
I changed the way that I was eating And I started really kind of getting into spiritual books and realizing being raised Catholic was kind of, it was a good foundation for discipline, I'll say that. So in my discipline and in my yearning to understand who I was as, I mean, what my point was here on this planet, and understanding my connection to spirit deeper, you know, I started reading books and going to lectures, and it really started off more as being militant, and it kind of grew into the spiritual. So around the time my third child was born, a friend of mine invited me to a sacred sweat lodge for her birthday. And this was my introduction to Native American spirituality. And I was pregnant, and I went to this lodge, and it really changed my life. And it changed my life in many ways because, one, it opened me up to understanding spirit in a larger, more vast understanding, I guess. And during that time, like I said, I was doing a lot of reading. I was studying Yogananda, and I was actually taking classes. Of course, he's no longer here, but through the Self-Realization Center, I was taking classes, and I was studying yoga and all, you know, a bunch of other things. But the Native American spirituality really opened me up. And my family part of my family is Indigenous American. So of course, me being led to this, and this way, I started sweating at the Enlightenment Center in Los Angeles under White Eagle, Srinath Devi Mataji White Eagle, who is no longer with us, is one of my teachers. And she is the elder who really introduced me to different forms of spirituality through the Enlightenment Center.
Okay. And where is the Enlightenment Center?
It's in LA. It's South Central. And it's still there. She's again no longer with us, but the Enlightenment Center is still open and practicing. Yes. So with that being said, that was 27 years ago. Yeah, about 27 years ago when I started sweating. So it's been a long journey.
So you said that you were pregnant during your first sweats.
Mm-hmm.
I did want to talk about like what you should prepare for when you come, but are there no exclusions for people who want to sweat and they're pregnant?
Well, let me start by saying that the sacred sweat lodge, the Anipe, is a purification ceremony. It's not only a purification ceremony, but it's what many natives will call church. So this week where we come to pray, to purify, to ground, to clear our energy fields, to connect with our ancestors, our soul family, our spirit bodies, with our animal totems and the like, right? So in regards to being pregnant and sweating, it is up to the individual, but many people sweat during the pregnancy because it is a purification ceremony, and it does get extremely hot, but there are children who have been born in the lodge. There are women who have, who have labored in the lodge as well. Because what happens when you enter the lodge and you ground and you go into meditation, you go into prayer, you are connected with source, you're connected with spirit. So what better place to be than to be in a space of spirit?
And surrounded by your ancestors, like the Awkward Black Nomad has said, I've heard things about Indigenous sweat lodges to connect with the ancestors.
Yes, most definitely.
So while we're here, we want to thank people for coming in. If you have any questions about the sweat lodges or sweats in general, please put them in the chat. Hi, Kiyoka. Hello, Khadijah. Thank you for being here. Okay, so describe your first sweat for us. How was it?
Well, let me first say that every sweat lodge is different, right?
Okay.
Every sweat lodge is different because you're going to have different individuals who partake. You're going to have different prayers, and whoever is pouring lodge, they're, it's a general foundational structure that, and tradition that is followed. But like anything, every experience is going to be different.
Right.
So that one for me, number one, it was hot. I was a tad bit uncomfortable, but what I got out of it, I felt completely clean, not only spiritually, physically, because you're sweating. So you're sweating out toxins, you're sweating out traumas, you're sweating out your day, you're sweating out what you ate a couple of days ago that you shouldn't have, so you're purifying with the elements. And the elements in all Native American spirituality are highly regarded. Your earth, your wind, your fire, your water, and your ether. So in all ceremonies, these elements are always represented. So with the element of water and heat, that alone can be a little triggering. Okay. And when we sweat, we're in a completely black space. So the idea is we're entering back into the womb of the mother. The lodge, the Anipe, is usually round, which represents the womb. The fire is the masculine. The stone people are our ancestors because they've been here much longer than us. And those stones are heated and brought into the lodge. It's completely dark, where you're sitting in a circle. Sometimes the lodge is traditionally made out of willows. In Mexico, sometimes they'll make a stone Anipe. So depending on culturally where you are will determine the shape, the size, that type of thing. Okay. But you're sitting in a dark space. For me, in my first experience, it was deep because I'm like, I'm about to give birth for the third time, but I'm sitting in the womb connecting back to spirit. Yes. And the level of sensitivity and the amount of downloads that I received during that one period and what it opened me up to, I'm still reaping the benefits of that today.
So you said that it's the hut is called an Anipe, right? Yes. Mm-hmm. When you all host in Atlanta, is there a pre-built Anipe, or do you build it each individual time?
So we do build it. We'll build it and we'll usually sweat several times until either maybe it's been damaged by weather or spirit says it's time. That one's done. We'll tear it down, we'll burn it, and we'll rebuild it. So that's actually where we are now. I tore down the last lodge just a few days ago. Okay. And ideally, we will be rebuilding it on Friday for the sweat on Saturday. But because of this young sister transitioning, we're pushing it. But we will be rebuilding it on Friday. So if anybody wants to come and assist, please do, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of manual labor, but it's good work. So, and that in itself is a prayer.
So what goes into building one in Anipe?
Ooh, okay. So first and foremost, the land has to be cleared. We cut down willows, and this will be a 16-pole lodge. So everything is done with sacred geometry. So we will build the lodge with the 16 poles. We will make sure the area is clean. We may need to rebuild the pit. We won't need to rebuild it this time, but sometimes you do, depending on the dimensions and whether it's going to be a 12 pole or a 16 pole. But everything is done mathematically. So the door of the lodge faces east, and it's going to be 6 feet from the spirit mound. The spirit mound will be 6 feet from the fire pit, and so on. So everything is done very traditional. It is from Lakota. I am following Lakota tradition. My elder, Kwame Sunhorse, is a sun dancer, and he has been pouring lodge for many years, and he's just passed me the sacred pipe, and I now have been initiated after 27 years of sweating to pour lodge. So
you are a pour. You are also a firekeeper.
Yeah, I fire kept for several years. Yeah, it's been many years that I've been fire keeping, but yes.
So for new people who have never heard of a sweat or have never participated in one, what is that? What is a firekeeper?
A firekeeper is the person who mans the fire and who is responsible for attending the fire, attending to the stone people who are in the fire, and bringing the elders, the stone people, from the masculine fire into the womb of the mother. And usually it's brought to the door, and the person who is pouring lodge will take it from the door and put it into the pit. Sometimes the person who is firekeeping will actually bring it all the way and set it at the foot of the pit. And they're the person who, they are like the protector. And they are the watch person while we are sweating. So they're a bit of a guard and a guide, maintaining the energy of the sweat from outside.
Okay. So essentially you can do both parts of that.
Yes. And if I am sweating and don't have somebody to fire keep, then I would do both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said in the description that I gave a really basic general idea of what a sweat was. I said purge, purify, and heal, right? Let's go into exactly what a participant will expect from a sweat, right? So purge, purify, and heal. What does those mean? What do these things mean?
Okay, so generally the purging would not necessarily be throwing up, but it's a spiritual purge. It, again, is a purification. It's a detoxification. It's a grounding ceremony. It is church. It's a place where we meditate, we pray, we release, we receive, and we are open to raising our vibration through heat, water, fire, and earth, through the elements. And we pay homage not only to the elementals, but to the directions. One of the things that you can expect is going to be hot. You're going to sweat. It may not be uncomfortably hot, or it may be uncomfortably hot. It depends on what you're going through. So I've been in many sweats where the temperature wasn't necessarily super hot, but because of what I was purging emotionally, I was really uncomfortable. And then there's been times where it's hot. Your ears is burning a little bit, you know what I mean? You're sweating, but I'm able to maintain because I am in a good place spiritually.
You're not the only person inside the Anipe, right? You're not the only person going through this process. So it's not only your energy, but it's other people's energy. Everybody purging at once.
Yes.
Imagine that.
Yes. So my job as the pourer is to kind of hold space and hold that energy and to make sure everyone is okay. And we do check on each other throughout the ceremony. So men and women, children, everybody is welcome to the ceremony. There was a period where women could not sweat when they were on their moon cycle, but that no longer is true, that women are able now to sweat while they're on their cycle. We do moon cycles where it's only women, or masculine cycles where it's only men, but generally speaking, the community is welcome, unless we are doing a very specific sweat, like maybe for someone who has transitioned, or maybe someone who is coming together in marriage, or we sweat for all different type of reasons, just like you would go to church for.
Right.
Mm.
And if you imagine, you know, for those who have not been on the sweat, but if you've been to a church, you've been to a very religious church, you may have been to a 7-day Adventist church, about, you know, anytime, you don't know what comes over you, right? You can see people, you know, praising in the church. You can see people, you know, speaking in tongues in the church. Any of these things is like a divine download. You never know what to expect. So it's akin to that. You know, you don't know what you're going to go through when you purge. You don't know what your purification process is going to look like, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. That is very accurate, because in the lodge, we often hold silence, or, you know, we, out of reverence for the ceremony, silence is important unless you're asked to speak. As someone who pours lodge, it is my job to be a vessel for whatever message is to come through me. So in me conducting the lodge, I will be praying and offering prayers and opening the space up for individuals to pray. We sing, sometimes we hoop, we holler. Whatever spirit is bringing up in you, then that is allowed, but respect is always the core. And tradition, for me, and the way that I have been taught and brought into this, is really, really important. Tradition is respect, it's intentional, and it is divinely guided. There's a reason why we do things that we do in the way in which we do them. And for those who are like, well, who is your God? Nature is our God.
Yes. Yes, because you're going into this not only to heal yourself physically or heal yourself mentally, you're going through this process to connect with nature, connect with the ancestors that we've already said, connect with the community around you, right? So these are some of the benefits that you receive through an experience like this.
Yes. And I'm glad that you brought up community, because often we do sweat for community, and we're talking about the global community. If you are aware of the energy of prayer and meditation and what is unseen, then you can understand how in our prayer time and in our ceremony, we are being intentional about praying for those who need it, for our family members, or for people that we don't know, or asking the earth for support in supporting her children, right? She's gonna be okay. It's us that need the assistance. You know, if she decides tomorrow that she don't want to see her no more,
she gonna be all right. Yes,
she's gonna be all right. You know, so
she can purge. She can purge us.
Exactly. And in that understanding that that is our foundation, you know, that nature is it's our lifeline. It's our prana, it's our umbilical cord, so to say. She's the mother energy. The prana is the umbilical cord. Let me be specific. So yeah.
So during this ceremony, walk us through. We come in, we sit down, walk us through the ceremony. Do we take, are we ingesting anything, or is it natural? Walk us through like the process of what one of your sweats would look like.
Okay, so initially we will set the fire, or we will light the fire several hours ahead. Well, first we will build the fire. And then the firekeeper will usually do this. You'll build the fire, and the fire will burn for several hours with the stones in there. As people come, they may come, and, you know, usually we ask you to come in reverence, and you may decide to do your, I just drew a blank. Or so you'll come in prayer, your spirit bundles, your prayer bundles. So prayer bundles essentially are a piece of material, preferably cotton, either in red, yellow, white, or black, and representing the 4 races or the medicine wheel. And you will take tobacco, and you will put the tobacco in the cloth, and you will make your prayers. You will tie it up. Sometimes that is worn in the lodge, or sometimes people will choose to burn it, say their prayers, and burn it in the fire. We always offer tobacco as offering, as a thank you, or as an avenue of giving praise, right? So you'll come in, you'll sit down. Often in the tradition that I was raised in, we wear white. Okay. Not all traditions do that, but ceremonially speaking, women are to wear skirts or dresses. Men can wear shorts and a t-shirt. Traditionally, we prefer white, or if not white, then maybe whatever your traditional garb is, your African garb or your native garb, whatever, your indigenous clothes. Okay. So you'll come in, you'll create your spirit bundles, you'll go into prayer. Once the fire is started, then we will go around and smudge everyone, explain what we are doing and what is to be expected of the participants. We'll set our intention, we'll set our prayers, and then essentially we'll go inside. So the women often go in first, and then the men will follow. We go sunwise, clockwise, into the lodge. When you get to the door, you'll make prayer, or you may say Aho Matakuyasin, or excuse me one second, you may say Aho Matakuyasin, or for all my relations, or permission to enter. Okay. Then you will come in, often putting your forehead to the earth, again asking permission. You will crawl in, take your seat. Once you are in the lodge, then myself will enter the lodge, or whoever is pouring. Usually I'm already in there. So then we will get everyone settled. Then we will ask for the Firekeeper to bring in a certain amount of stones. We usually do 4 rounds, 1 for each one of the directions. Okay. So the stones will be brought in, and then the door will be put down, and it will become black in there once the stones are in. And there's other things that happen, but the long and short of it is we go into prayer, we go into meditation, and I start to pour the water on the stones. And yeah, it's 4 rounds.
So you said it's 4 rounds, but I'm assuming it sounds like there's no set time limit.
No.
So it takes as long as it takes.
It takes as long as it takes. And sometimes the rounds are quick. Sometimes they're not. And yeah, there's no real linear time when it comes to these ceremonies, because spirit takes the time that is needed,
Right. Yeah. So we are, when you think of, okay, we're making the comparison again with church. Like when you think of a church ceremony, you can be in there all day. You can be in there for hours and hours. So you can't say, well, I'm going at 11:30, we'll be done by 1:30. Like, be prepared, people. Be prepared. Especially, you don't know what's going to come over you. You don't know what needs to come out of you. You don't know your personal journey of purification, what that looks like. You don't know.
You don't know and stuff. So, and because you don't know, when people ask how long it takes, that is the answer. It takes as long as it needs to take. And the thing is, though, during the 4 rounds, if you are getting, if you're feeling like you're having heart palpitations or something is happening where you feel like you need to come out, then, you're not bound to it. We asked you to stay as long as you can, because a lot of times your anxieties may come up, fears come up, and many times that's what people are running from. Right. And yes, it's going to be hot. That's what you came here for. And this is where saunas come from. This is where the sauna comes from.
That's when in the beginning I was like steam and sauna, because I put them together like a sweat. It's almost the same thing. You can leave a sauna anytime, but when you're in a spiritual ritual, you want to sit in that. You want to sit in the uncomfortability.
Yeah. So you can grow.
So Khadijah asks, are you silent the entire time? Are the participants silent the entire time?
No. Excuse me. No, generally, we ask for everyone to introduce themselves and ask what their intention for the ceremony is. Or during one round, we might ask for each person to pray, or we might ask if somebody has a sacred song that they want to share. But in between those times, yes. It's like church, spirit moves you and you want to say an amen, bring it.
Right. So whoever has the mic at that time can speak, and things like that. And the pourer, I'm assuming, will give directions throughout.
Yes, most definitely. Definitely giving direction throughout the ceremony, because my job is to kind of guide the energy based off of what has already been set and based off of tradition.
Okay. So we already talked about like expectations, what to wear, usually white, traditionally white. Don't come with any preconceived time, how long this is going to take. Should the participants, since it's going to be hot, should they come hydrated?
Yes, please. You always want to be hydrated. If you know you're going to sweat, start the day before. Bananas and salt water is a great thing to ingest. I also recommend fasting that day or eating as clean as possible, because with that, you don't want to be heavy in there sweating. It's just going to make you more uncomfortable. Plus, you want to be a clear vessel for spirit. So the lighter that you eat, the better.
Are there, for people who are, when we talk about doing alternative healing or indigenous healing, a lot of people who come from the church or who comes from the masjid, who comes from there, they think that they're not welcome in these spaces.
Oh, they're definitely welcome. They're most definitely welcome. And the thing is, it would almost be like if I am Christian and I decide to go to a mosque.
Exactly.
And it's not a religion. It's a way of life.
Thank you.
It's a tool, a practice, a way of being, a way of life. So we do this just like we take a bath. You bathe to purify yourself. And in that, you can use that to have your meditations, your prayer, to give thanks. We use baths and showers on a daily basis, but really it's a purification tool. So
right. When you think about when people say going to the river, right? Washing yourself off in the river, it's another purification method like that, akin to that.
And the water that we use is prayed over. We put herbs in it. We put essential oils in it because it needs to be programmed. The water is programmed with certain frequencies, and those frequencies are blessing everybody. The different herbs, the different plant medicines and stuff that go into the water, everybody benefits from those. So the eucalyptuses and the tea trees and that type of thing,
Yes, Khadijah has another question. How many times per year do you recommend people have this experience?
Well, it just depends on what's going on with you. Generally, we always sweat for the change of the seasons. We often will sweat for full moons or new moons. There's people who sweat weekly. I know during COVID, I was sweating weekly, because they were like, the COVID doesn't live in heat. And I was like, great. Not only do I need this for my physical health, but I need it for my mental health and my mental strength. And for me personally, COVID was a good time, but
yeah, it was much needed. It was a much needed respite.
Yeah, it was a much needed respite. And during that time, I sweat probably once a week. and stuff. But there are people who sweat every few days. If I was living in a more indigenous community, we would probably be sweating every couple of days. So.
Think about how you think about what you go through, right? On a weekly or a monthly basis. If it's anything that you feel like you want to let go, when you're struggling with something and want to do like let go of limiting beliefs or let go of doubt or worry, right? These are things that you can, these are things that come up that you can say, okay, I need to go sweat, right? I need to get out.
Sure.
I need to release this thing. Anytime you feel like you are building up and you are overwhelmed and you need to release, sweats are able. There's a what is it? The word, a venue that you allow you to do that.
Basically. Yes, exactly. And what I also want to specify is it's not just for negative. It's used for celebration.
Yes.
For weddings and graduations, rites of passages, and that type of thing. So it's also used to celebrate life. You know, everything, it's very much balanced.
Great.
The sweat lodge and the Anipe is very much balanced. And it's about not only releasing and purifying the negative, but it's also releasing the joy and releasing your happiness and growing your joy. So what I once sweat for years ago, I don't sweat the same way now. I sweat to build and to continue to strengthen my resolve. And where before I would go dealing with trauma, dealing with heaviness, dealing with problems, I don't. Usually now I'm sweating because it's more of a strengthening for me, you know, strengthening my resolve and helping to build my meditation and helping to build me physically and what I can handle physically, because it takes a lot to build the lodge, maintain the lodge, and pour the lodge as well. It's physical labor, you know. Cutting down trees, and we're lifting, you know, for people who are firekeepers, sometimes you're lifting hot stones, you're at the fire, you know, and you have to have reverence for these things because they will teach you a lesson. If not, if you don't respect the fire, you don't want that. Even in the lodge, like, there's been many people who really have a hard time staying in, but it's because of what they're going through. And then there's other people who are like, oh, this is phenomenal. I love it. And they're elated because it's all about where you are and growing from that perspective.
I think it's also like when people say they can't meditate, they can't sit still, it's also like getting to know yourself, getting to be able to sit still, to listen to nothing, to listen to yourself, to listen to your inner thoughts, and having that discipline to be able to do that, right?
Yeah.
That comes a part of it. Speaking of meditation, Kyoko wants to know, if you're meditating or reading tarot at home, how would you purify your energy or cleanse your space?
Well, when I cleanse my space, I do it in many different ways. Obviously, cleaning the house. I sage with I burn sage and different other smudges. Prayer. You guys have to hold it for me just 1 second.
Go ahead.
Do I have a second?
Go ahead. So I'll go on to how I cleanse my space. Like she said, smudging. Smudging is like bringing a bundle of sandalwood or sage or anything and go through your house to cleanse it after you physically clean it. That's one way that you can purify your space.
Yes. So in purifying the energy in the space, again, thank you for being patient. We use different type of smudges. We use different herbs. We use different oils, and prayer and meditation is super important when it comes to clearing your space. And yes, I do readings at home.
We'll get into her other services after we finish describing a sweat.
Yes.
Khadija said this is a completely vain question. Can you lose weight sweating? Asking for
of course, because it's a detoxification.
Yes,
You most definitely can.
Yes, especially if you do it often.
Yes, especially if you do it often.
Hi, Ebony. Thanks for joining us. Yes, give thanks and praise always. That is also part of the sweat experience.
Yes.
Giving thanks and praise to the nature, to your surroundings, to your community, to your ancestors.
Yes. And that is, you're giving thanks and praise not only to your ancestors and to that energy, but to yourself. Because I self, Lord and Master, so your God is in, of course, it is outside, but it's inside first.
And you have to take time to honor that, right?
Yes.
She says, I love sweat. I used to do them 30 years ago in Washington, D.C., Texas, New York. Well, this is the Atlanta sweat. Yes.
Atlanta sweat, yes. And I can extend to you my information. So if you're interested in participating, then you can reach out to us. And yeah.
So her information is also under this video. Her store information will be under there. We're going to talk about that in a second. Her Instagram is here. Her website is here. So any questions that you have about this sweat, upcoming sweats, or other metaphysical healing, the spiritual healing, she got you. All that information is in the description below here. Let's get into that a little bit. So we are at the sweat, right?
Yes.
We come out, we feel renewed, we feel refreshed.
Yes.
We've done the reset. If we want to continue working with you, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me at the Sanktuari. I am also online, IG, as well as our website. So you can find us on Instagram at Sanktuari, spelled Sanktuarii. And we will post the lodges on the Sanktuari IG page. And that's probably the best way to contact us. Or you can come in the store. We're located in the West End. The address is 568 Poole Place, Unit I in Atlanta. Or you can call at 770-268-0685. And please text.
Ma'am, why did you get your number on this YouTube? But okay.
It's the business line. That's for the store.
Okay.
That's the number for the store, as well as information for the lodge. But please text, because you will get me faster that way.
All right. So at the Sanktuari, what can people expect to get there? Like, what services do you provide at the Sanktuari? I know it's a place of healing, spiritual healing, whole health, wellness. What kind of services and products can they expect to find there?
Well, we are a wellness boutique, and we carry crystals, herbs. We do have clothes now, metaphysical tools, candles, incense, sage, all of your metaphysical tools. And as far as our services, we offer massage, readings, vaginal steaming, sound therapy. I said readings. What did I leave out? Sound therapy.
Yoga instruction. Do you have yoga instruction?
No, we don't do any yoga. And chakra.
Chakra, yes.
So that's what we offer.
So for all your spiritual and metaphysical needs, please see the Sanktuari in Atlanta. Again, the information will be under this video. If you all in the chat have any more questions about anything about her services that she provides, her readings, give the people a taste of what is a oracle reading.
Okay, so There are different types of readings. So there's tarot, there are many different oracles. Some people read bones, some people read eyes, some people read body. So an oracle essentially based off of a 52 deck card system, and they are systems. So tarot is a very specific system. The oracle, so there may be the goddess oracle or the Oshu Zen oracle or the Mayan oracle. There are many, many different oracles, but essentially there are tools to tap into your own spirit. It picks up information and energy from your auric body and your auric field, which no one else controls but you. And that information is fed back to you.
Okay. We have another question. What are the benefits of vaginal steaming?
Okay. The benefits of vaginal steaming, they help to essentially realign your womb. They will purify your womb. They're great for if you have any imbalances like PCOS or you have heavy bleeding, any issues with your womb, it's going to help to regulate your womb. Not to mention it makes you feel clean. It tightens your vagina. It also makes your vagina more moist and wet. It also helps with your self-esteem. It also is a great tool if you're holding trauma in your womb to release that. Oftentimes when women do vaginal steaming, they will have an emotional release as well and may not always pin it to that, but that's an important aspect of the vaginal steams or the womb steaming.
So Khadijah, she's a second that. I love yoni steams. Do you provide that at the sanctuary?
I do. They're one-on-one sessions.
Okay. Big Sis Doula, can you explain your chakra work?
Yes and no.
Like, yes. Give an oversight.
Because it is everybody is different. Everybody is separate and different, and their needs are different. And when it comes to chakra work, it's really about rebalancing and helping to realign your chakras. And I say no because at the end of the day, you are responsible for that, right? There are tools, there are herbs, there are stones, which are living entities that will help and aid in doing the chakra work, but ultimately the work is your own.
So I would say if you have specific questions, reach out to her.
Yeah. And then let me say this, it depends on what chakra work you're talking about, because if you are talking about general alignment, you can align your chakras with music, which is very easy to do. You can align your chakras just by going outside and grounding into the earth. And there are many different tools that you can use to do chakra work.
I just found out like 2 days ago that they have grounding mats that you can put on your bed. Like, and what? And you can ground yourself while you're sleeping. I just found this out. Yeah. It blew my mind.
Yeah. And from my understanding, they work wonderfully.
Yes. Girl, when she told me, I was like, I didn't even let her finish the pitch. I'm like, I'm on it. I'm on it. It's on its way now. She said this is the best sleep she's ever gotten. She wake up, no aches in her knees, no aches and pain. I'm like, what?
And it's supposed to be really good for people with arthritis.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Which 50s, girl, turning 50, whatever. That's another. That's another topic. I ordered my grounding mat. Listen, I ordered my grounding mat.
Good. I'm glad. You're gonna get some good sleep.
I hope so. Who's this? Kyoka. If we can get to you in Atlanta, how can someone discern if a light worker is real or that they're coming from a positive place? Good question. With their work.
The best thing is to use your own intuition. So what is a universal truth is you are drawn to people for specific reasons. It's up to you to figure what that is. But your own personal level of discernment and intuition will help you to understand. And if you're not sure, just go and get quiet and ask your spirit, is this for me or not?
I would add to that. I would say if you are unfamiliar, go by recommendations first, in addition to your intuition. But ask around, look on YouTube to see, to research other people who provide sweats, who are
And
leaders.
ask somebody that you trust. Your girlfriend, one of your family members, or somebody, an elder, anybody that you trust spiritually. Generally speaking, it would be a good call for you.
That's why I'm introducing her to you. Moneek is one of my favorites. I'm telling you, she will not steer you wrong, which leads us to Big Sis Doula's question. Do we need to drive to Atlanta to be on location, or are you virtual?
I can be virtual, not for sweats.
Yes.
Absolutely not for sweats. You have to be there in person.
Yes.
But we can do readings, we can do counseling, and we can even do sound therapy. But it's always
it's a physical experience.
Yes, it is. Most of these are physical experiences. But yes, readings can happen anywhere.
Okay, so if you have any more questions about sweats or any other healing practices, please put them in the chat. So if it's not happening this Saturday, you said, please, those of you who are in Atlanta watching this in the future, they're going to be building the sweat on Friday, starting Friday.
Yes, Friday we will build the lodge, but we will not sweat until probably either next weekend or for the next full moon. So you kind of have to stay posted, but we will post it on Instagram. That's pretty much the only place that I post to.
Great, and I will be putting a reminder up on my Instagram and in the YouTube when that happens. If you have any I don't know, like when we talk about transitions, right? We talk about going through transitions, and for me, like that comes automatically with thinking about our physical health, our mental health, our mindset. I haven't done a sweat in a very long time, but I'm coming up on some medical issues that we'll discuss sometime in the future. But this is, I want to focus for the next few weeks. We're going to be focusing on a lot of holistic, traditional healing methods. If you are in need of that, if that's something that you're searching for the summer, if purging and purifying and focusing on your health, I really, really, really say, get to this sweat. If you're not in the Atlanta area, find you a sweat. It really is beneficial for all of those things that I've listed.
Yes. And I think you'll enjoy it. Yeah.
Is there anything that we have not covered that you want to cover, Miss Sundari Moneek?
No, I think that pretty much is it. If anybody has any questions, they can definitely reach out to me personally. Or if there's any fear that comes up, the fear is not real. So follow through and do yourself a favor and come sweat.
I say get there, y'all. I say do it. Thank you, Miss Moneek, for saying yes. Miss Raina was not here today, but the sweats takes place on her land, which is called the Rainforest.
Yes.
The address is below again in the video. Check them out, y'all, if y'all in the Atlanta area. Yes, if you're curious, like Kiyoka has said, if you're curious, like the video. Do it. Come join them. It will be a awesome experience if this is your first time. Even if it's not your first time, I promise it's something that you will appreciate.
Yes. Well, thank you all for having me.
Of course, of course. Also, if you want some more background information on Sundari Moneek, there is, when I first started this channel, we did a one-on-one video about her and her journey to homeschooling. So you can check that out. I will put that in the description below. Yes, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, the Outward Black Nomad. I appreciate you all. Please like the video. As Kiyoka has reminded us, please share with other like-minded women who you think this is up their alley. Please share with them. See y'all later. See you next time.